Welcome to the Agent 251 podcast, the real estate show that looks deep into the work and culture at JWRE, Jason Will Real Estate, in Mobile and Baldwin counties. Jason, Agent 251, investigates and spills the beans on his case closing clues and industry secrets for motivating agents while educating buyers and sellers.
Welcome to Agent 251 podcast. I am Johnny Gwin, and I am sitting with Jason Will and Diane Will. Who wants to go first? You can't point at each other.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay. Agent 251, Jason Will. In a previous episode, you mentioned that JWRE is a marketing company that sells real estate. Can you tell me how important marketing and social media is to JWRE?
It's huge. I mean, that's really the catalyst for our growth is social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we started becoming very transparent in what we do and how we do it. Much of our growth has been organic. We've had to be much more recruiting based in Mobile County because we're not from Mobile. We don't have the contacts here. So, you know, we're going to have to do a much better job in terms of really building relationships.
So where's home? Home.
Yeah, so we're in Fairhope, Alabama, and the majority of those 70 agents are based in Baldwin County. We're just now getting off the ground here in Mobile County. We've opened our doors at the end of June.
Yeah, you have some sweet real estate right there in Fairhope, right on Section Street right there.
Do.
That
great.
hasn't hurt.
Doesn't.
Well, I mean,
One of the things that I say to people is that we now have like some really good restaurants. You know, There's been a lot of really good restaurants that have come and go in Fairhope. They just can't outlast the slowdowns. But now they come, they stay, they flourish. You know, we're getting all kind of neat stuff. Mm-hmm. And with all that comes kind of a little bit of a nightlife.
Yeah, and change.
So what's one of your favorite places over there to eat? Or a couple of them?
Camellia Cafe is our favorite date night, and Dragonfly and Sage.
So say someone's coming in town and you're looking at homes, and they say, where should we go have lunch? Where's one of those places you send them that's not from here?
It's hands down Dragonfly.
Really?
Bar, yeah. If
Cool.
you haven't been there, it's incredible.
They were voted #1 taco in Alabama.
What magazine? Do you know what magazine that was?
Food magazine, I
Food
think.
magazine. Oh, yeah. Well, that's crazy because the South's best restaurant, a bar is Callahan's over here, and then so the best tacos over in Fairhope. You know, we didn't get a lot of that food press for a long time here. It's great to see all that.
It is.
Yeah, we were in New York City, and I was talking to a guy, and he was talking to us about Tongue and Groove. New York has no shortage of bars and craft cocktail places. He's like, Tongue and Groove's my favorite craft cocktail bar
Really?
of all time. Yeah, in Little Fairhope, Alabama, they came to visit during the Arts and Crafts Festival.
That is cool.
And they said we went to Tongue and Groove, and they went back like 3 or 4 times that
Every
weekend.
day.
Yeah,
they went every day.
Yeah, he said that it was just incredible. So, that's the upside, is that we actually are, we have people so that these places can flourish, and you can't have it both ways. You know, if you want more than a Ruby Tuesdays in Fairhope to eat out, you're going to have some people to pay the light bill.
Well, speaking of keeping lights on, let's leave the wonderful Fairhope food and let's get back to this Agent 251 podcast that I'm supposed to be hosting here. You know, Jason, Diana, you have told me that you look at your agents as your client. Let's say I'm a home buyer. Why don't you tell me what you look for in an agent and what, more importantly, me, the consumer, the buyer, should look for in an agent?
I would say first and foremost is a full-time agent. You know, there's a little bit of the used car salesman black cloud over our industry, and my belief is that comes from there being so many part-time agents. It's just a supplemental thing to the majority of the agents in our industry. They're doing it part-time, or, they're a school teacher and they're just doing it during the summers. And what happens is when you're not in the trenches day in and day out, we've been in this business for a long time, and we're still learning new things every single day. So it's all very experience-based. The service you provide comes from your prior experience or the prior experience of the people you surround yourself with. Because at the end of the day, the real estate process, the transaction itself is very problem-ridden, and we have to be problem solvers. And if you've never experienced a particular problem, you're not going to know how to solve that problem. And that just creates frustration on the part of the buyer or the seller. And like you said, they quit. They're like, all right, to heck with it. This buying a house thing is frustrating. I'm out. It's just because the agent is not being a proper guide, just because they don't have the experience.
What's harder, getting listings or selling?
The buyers are typically going to be your lowest hanging fruit. It's much harder to sell yourself. The listing side is much more competitive, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, you can really pick up a buyer pretty easily and work them pretty easily. The selling side is much more complicated. Getting the businesses, earning the businesses is much more competitive, but actually getting a listing to sell takes a lot of confidence, takes a lot of straight talk. You really have to tell people like it is. You're going into their home, their environment, and you may have to tell them, look, it smells in here. They have this incredibly magnified opinion of what, the quality of their home or their furniture. And you're like, look, this isn't all that, we've got to make some changes in here. And that takes, on a very basic level, primal level, that takes a lot of guts. And a lot of agents, here's where the problems come in. We're commission based. So we're not getting a check from anywhere. And at the same time, we're so starving for business and so afraid to rock the boat that a lot of times we tell sellers what they want to hear, not what they need to know. And that just creates more days on market, more frustration, and then it's like, here's another no good realtor. Some mindsets and some barriers and some things that we're just constantly preaching to our people that they need to overcome.
So you mentioned training. Is that something you really hammer in your training thing? It's not just how to do the job, but let me show you some issues you're going to run into?
Absolutely. Yeah, from real life experience, we talk about issues that we're having. Diana covers, contracts and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and I'm more, sales and marketing. I'm more showing them, how to win the business, and she's showing them, how to bulletproof the transaction.
So the paperwork must be mountains of paperwork.
It's not the paperwork so much. It's the fact that you have a listing agent, a selling agent, a buyer, and a seller, and then potentially more opinions. Yeah, mom and dad might have an opinion. If you set the expectation as an agent up front, this is what this is going to look like, and this is why we do a home inspection, and it's not to nickel and dime because there's a broken window that we already know about. So I find that as I set the expectation from the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, it's far less problematic. But the problem is that people don't want to set the expectation, and then they don't know how. They don't know how to ask for somebody to come in. So, training agents on how to set the expectations is key. So we teach classes on that regularly.
Guys, I work with my wife, Stacy Wellborn, and you were married. It seems you guys have a really good balance of what you do. Jason, I see you, out there pushing, being the leader, the motivator, looking at 50,000 feet for your agents and running the company. Now, Diana, I kind of see you as like the general, like at headquarters. Is that close? Tell me what Diana's typical day is like.
I'm operations. My day is different every day. I get into the office at 8 a.m. and try and make progress, in my inbox and taking care of stuff. But we are constantly onboarding agents. So getting them plugged into all of the systems and technology that we use throughout the firm, handling and fielding broker questions. I was getting broker calls this morning at 7:50 when I'm dropping my dogs off at camp. I'm a mom of 2 English bulldogs and 2 kids, and he requires motherly attention as well. So, I'm busy outside of work, and so, I'm at my desk all day, just, handling broker stuff, keeping us compliant, handling the finances, and, keeping everything rolling.
Well, it's nice to hear a little bit of a slice of Diana's life. Now, let's go ahead and jump to the market that we're in. Now, while I'm a host of this Agent 251 Real Estate podcast, I am not in the real estate biz, but I do read the paper. And, the headlines read, Mobile and Baldwin counties have robust real estate markets. In your professional opinion, how good is the Mobile and Baldwin County real estate market?
I don't want to give people the impression that we are anywhere close to 2004. That was a freak occurrence, but we are definitely in a very strong, I think robust is probably the perfect word to use. And it's getting stronger every day, every week, every month. We're not seeing a seasonal slowdown. It never really stops, but there's a slight, taper in fall and winter, but we're not seeing that. So it could be, the stage could be set for potentially the biggest December we've seen in quite a long time.
Well, that's great. One of the great things about doing a podcast is I get to talk to very smart people and pros in their industry, and I get a little inside information. So I'm going to use this chance here. Can you give me maybe an insight or some information on an up-and-coming area in Mobile or Baldwin County, or a place that maybe people aren't really talking about, or something that you see as really a good buy right now?
I don't know. We're kind of out of the loop on the actual the day-to-day stuff. That's kind of one of the downfalls of not being a competing broker.
You're
But Lake Forest is going to make a huge comeback.
I grew up in Lake Forest. I moved there in '79.
Yeah,
we just had an appraisal at things are appraising at over $240,000 in Lake Forest.
Wow.
A house that was built in the 70s.
My family, I think, was family 480 there, which is probably 600. It's probably 6,000, 7,000 families in there now. I love going up there. There's weird streets where you get lost in there, and the pools and stuff. I mean, I love Lake Forest.
But they're doing stuff to it. I mean, you're going to see them start investing more money, I think, in the amenities. But we had an agent in our office buy a house in there, and she's like, well, even if we sell it for this or that, or if we find something that's wrong with it that we didn't see during the buying process, they're still going to make $25,000. So
in 3 months.
Yeah, that's
wow.
It's Lake Forest is just too darn big, and there's too many houses falling down in there. That's a place where you can make a lot of money.
Right. It is a weird. I mean, everybody who came and visited me there was like, this is not where I live. It feels like you're in like a mountain area with the hills up and down. It's
very strange.
It's a cool little oasis from a lot of the cookie cutter neighborhoods you go into.
It has a bad rap.
It's so crazy because it didn't it didn't early on. It was groundbreaking in the 80s. But like anything else, you have to put a new shiny coat and fix up things. You can't let it deteriorate.
Buyers will say now, I'm looking in Spanish Fort, Fairhope, and Daphne, but I won't live in Lake Forest.
Oh, really? That's the statement.
That's the statement.
Wow.
And then you show them the character. I mean, because you can't get a house built like that with that character in a neighborhood that's not cookie cutter for that price. And the bang for your buck you can get in there and the amenities. And so when you show them that, they're like, okay, let's rethink this.
Yeah, it's perception reality.
Yep.
And JWRE is a place to say, look, we'll get past the myths, we'll look into the real things, and we'll look into what's real and not what the perception is. I think that's a great way to look at that.
I love to be a myth buster. That's one of my.
I'm so
deals.
shocked you brought. I mean, I'm not shocked. It's just funny you brought up Lake Forest. I mean, I grew up in Mobile. I went to school in Mobile, but I grew up in Lake Forest. I love that area, but it's nice to see that area come back.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be huge.
Cool. Well, thanks for that walk down memory lane, and that is a wrap for this episode of Agent 251. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and thanks, Jason and Diana.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up another Agent 251 podcast. Thanks so much for listening. You can find our show on iTunes, Stitcher, any place you get your podcast fix. We really appreciate the listening, and please share it with your friends. This show has been paid for and powered by JWRE, Jason Will Real Estate. You can find Jason, Diana, and the whole JWRE team on the internet and Facebook. And everybody have a great and productive and happy week.